Welcome to another episode of The Wong Reviewer. I made a mistake in my initial desktop build. I recently made a video on swapping out Cooler Master fans for premium Noctua fans to reduce fan noise. If you're interested in seeing the video, I'll leave the card up here. A friend of mine saw the video and pointed out that some of my cooling fan orientations were wrong, and they were right. So I made a mistake. All my fan orientations were pointed so they were pulling air into the case. This meant that the hot air produced from the CPU and GPU were not being adequately vented out. So this creates a positive pressure effect in the case, where the fans push more air into the case than pull air out. So there's more air pressure inside of the case. The case I'm using is a Corsair Carbide Series 275R mid-tower ATX gaming case. I have two fans in the front, I have two fans at the top, and one fan in the back. And all those fans are the premium Noctua fans, 120 millimeters. The ideal fan setup is to create neutral pressure in the case. You do that by having the air intake in and flowing out of the case. Now I have to open up the case and switch the fans to do a neutral pressure setup. So I'm in the process of switching these fans around. What was happening was the air was actually, the way I had this set up, all the air was being sucked in. And so what I want to do now is switch the fans around. When initially I had set up the fans, so now I'm going to switch these around and then we'll do a test to see how it works. So I'm going to screw this. Most fans now have markings on it. It tells you which way the air blows. And when I first installed these, I didn't pay attention to the markings, and I just based it, and I installed it based on how it was orientated before. So as you can see, the Noctua fans here have markings telling you which way to install it. So, and which way the airflow goes. For this one here, so that one goes there. So I want to make sure it goes this way. I want to make sure the wind, the air is blown out of the case. So that was one of the lessons learned for me, was to pay more attention when I install the cooling fans, or just to make sure none of you make the same mistake. Again, just pay attention to the markings to see which way the air blows out. All right, let's finish installing the rest of the fan orientation. All right, I have changed all the fan orientations. The back fan I switched around, so the air should be blowing out. The top fans should be blowing air up and out. And the two front fans should be blowing inward, like intake. So the way it should happen is air flows in and then gets vented out through the top and through the back. I'm going to turn on the computer now, and we should see the proper airflow going through the case now. And we can validate that with the fancy strips of tissue paper on the case. Turning it on. Yes. So the top, you can see the air movement is blowing out. You can see the two front fans. The air is blowing in through the intake. The two strips here is kind of clinging, which is good. That means it's sucking in. The two intakes coming out. And then if I look at the back fan, not a lot of air movement, but definitely blowing out. All right. So I think I have fixed the airflow movement. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you in terms of creating a neutral pressure case. I wanted to make sure that none of you made the same mistake I did. If you found this very helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for future content. And until next time, thank you for watching.